Hey guys, got a fun little project today. Another gloomy, rainy morning and a perfect time to do some carving. Today we're going to do this little pumpkin stack man, and I really like this guy, and a little bit different. You can see I gave him some little wire arms, and we'll make them later on. But that is our project today, and if that's what you want to do, then stick around and we'll carve one up. Our piece of wood today is 6 inches tall and it's 1.5 inches square, and I'm going to be using only my 1 3/4 Helvie roughout knife. Metric guys is about 25 and a hair millimeters in an inch, so that'll give you a good reference to this carving. So let's lay it out and start carving. From the bottom of our piece of wood we're going to come up 1.5 inches. And then from that 1.5 inches, let's go 1.25 inches. And from that 1.25 inches, we'll go 1.125 inches. 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, 1.125 inches. I'm going to bring these lines all around on the bottom one. Alright. Same thing for the middle. Roughly. Okay, and then our top one here is actually going to be the hat. So we're going to not do the same thing on the top. We want to bring that down. So if we brought that 1.125 inches, the top line here, if we brought that roughly around, we'd want to be about 1/2 inch below that line to give the angle. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's backtrack and work on these bottom two pumpkins. All right, we got our lines all marked on here, and it should be noted right away that today we're making this stacked pumpkin man. But if we divide the circumference of these dimensions by the diameter, we're actually making a pumpkin pie. Oh dear, that's for the math nerds. Okay, bottom line, let's start our pumpkin right here, and all we're gonna do, cut in all these corners, good 1/4 inch. All right, we're just, as usual, this is just a rough layout, finding our rough sizes and shapes. Do the same thing on the top one. And as usual as well, if you're new to carving, I have a whole playlist to get you going to this point, from safety, types of cuts, woods to use, all that stuff. If you go digging in my channel, you'll find all the information you need. But without stating the obvious, I could be wearing a safety glove. I choose not to, so that's my choice, but it's highly recommended. Now we're just going to go across. We're going to join up all these corners and get that bottom pumpkin all roughed in. Alright, just working our way around. This bottom pumpkin does not, its shape is pretty much the 1.5 inches around. And you'll see that these are going to get narrower, alright? But staying with the bottom pumpkin for now, we can take the corners off. Get that in there. Just giving a rough shape. Take the corners off. We can take the bottom. And this is where we'll leave this pumpkin for now. And we'll move on up to the second one. Alright. Now, just like the hat, these pumpkins are not actually sitting on top of each other, or you know what I'm saying, hats sit over and they're part of the head, just like these pumpkins. We don't want ball on top of ball. We want them kind of part of each other, like they're kind of just molded to each other a little bit. All right, so same thing as the bottom. Go around. We're going to divide the pumpkins with this line joining the corners. Only now we're going to do this a little bit different. We're going to make this one narrower, all right? So if this is 1.5 inch pumpkin, this is our 1.25 inch pumpkin. So I just want to, we're going to narrow that one up. All these cuts are rough. We will be fine-tuning everything as we go, but so almost as deep as we've notched that in, we're going to make them flat. So we're losing the faces and making this pumpkin just a little bit more narrow. You don't have to bite it all off at once like I'm doing. Start each side. They don't have to be perfectly flat. The facets are nice, and we're going to be doing more work rounding anyway, so don't worry about it. You can take little bits like that. That's good. It's probably better. There. As you can see, that is going to be a little bit narrower than the bottom one. And we can recut the bottom like that. Kind of redoing our original cut, only now we're a little bit deeper again. You can see my thumb is the motor here. It's doing most of the work. It's also a good way to not flick off and go somewhere you don't want to go. The little motor just kind of stops you so you don't go too far. Okay. But I think that's where we're going to stop with this guy. So a little bit narrower than the bottom. And we're moving on up. Now, this is what, let's put a face on this guy right there. So we know with the front, a little bit different again. Like I said, we're going to come from that line to that line. It's about 1/2 inch lower on an angle. And we're going to be doing it round, but just to get going here, let's just rough cut these in. Keep them fairly straight instead of V'd. Straight on the top, V on the bottom. Alright. And I didn't mark this side. And we'll just join them all up. It's going to be kind of a hillbilly hat like this. Maybe a little more top hatish. Maybe we'll mix it up. We'll see when we get there. Alright. So we've done the 3 sides, but we haven't done the front because I want the front to feel like it's on his head. So we're going to go a little bit rounded like that. We want that hat to feel like it's drooping on his head. So we don't want it straight, and we don't want it sitting on top. Alright. Alright, so obviously we're way bigger. So now we're going to make this pumpkin smaller than this pumpkin. So let's take those corners off. This one here, we got to bring it all the way back flush with the bottom one, and then go that hair deeper. Now, something to keep in mind before we go too far. You can see that nose is right here. It's not a bad idea. Let's just do that. Let's leave some meat there, right in the center for a nose. We got lots of cutting to do still, but it wouldn't hurt to keep some wood there for the nose. Maybe a little button nose on this guy. Alright. Now, we're pretty much flush with the sides. Now let's take it in deeper. Alright. Just a noticeable difference, just so you can see that they're progressively getting smaller. Alright. And round up these corners. Alright, just like so. Now obviously everything's square and bulky, but we're just trying to get the rough shape in here. What we're going to do now is let's go heavy on the hat brim here. We're going to round the hat after, but let's just make a heavy brim and let's kind of rough out that hat. We want to keep it nice and thick at this point, because you know if we go too thin right off the bat, we're going to break it, because that's what we do. And it's super glue time, so make a nice heavy brim on that hat. And we'll do the shaping later, but might as well get it roughed in. And by going thick like this, then we can round that over and get the floppy the floppy shape that we're gonna be looking for. Okay. Just roughing it in. Take some meat off the top. We got lots of lots of room up there. So. Alright, let's leave the hat alone for now. Couple more cuts. Alright. Alright, he says, and he keeps going. There's just so much meat up there. Alright, leave it alone, Doug. I will. Okay, there we are. Just a real roughed in basic fella here, but we're off to a good start. So on our bottom here, let's just start by coming down a good third. We're just going to start working our way around. Just kind of rounding it to that cut line. Alright. Good third. Encroaching on a half. Alright, see what I'm doing there? Just kind of the same thing on the bottom. And we're going to try and our goal here is eventually to lose the flat spots of our pumpkin and lose that boxy shape. So we're just working our way around. And as we do that, losing these corners, then the middles start showing themselves. We can round them. We're really not trying to flatten, we're just trying to round. And as we get the corners and these little flat areas show up more, then we just keep on. They don't have to be perfectly round, but we don't want any flat spots either. So, as you keep working around, the areas just keep showing themselves that you gotta keep whittling off little bits at a time. Still in the rough stages. We're going to be putting some pretty serious grooves and valleys in these to give them the pumpkin shape, but see what I'm doing here? So we got a nice little start of our shape, but we can't finish the round because we don't want them sitting on top of each other, so they're just kind of molding into each other. So I'm going to start doing the same thing on the second one. Working our way around, probably a third each way. Same on the top. Like I said, as you do the top and the bottom, then the center sticks out. So we work our way around the center. If you get a little grain pull from cutting one way, cut the other way and clean it up. Then we can take our in-between line and we can kind of sharpen that up a bit. Make a nice clean edge. We're on our way. We're getting there. Okay. Okay. Just keep looking at it and you can see what's out of proportion or a little bit wonky, and just keep trimming your way around. Alright. But I think we just about got that for now. Let's move up to our top part here. I want to make that hat fairly rounder than this even. So let's bring that center up. It's not always the easiest cut to make, so if you want to make it square first, just cut up underneath. Just want that hat really slouching on his head, so a few cuts in there. Just getting right underneath there and getting that hat really sitting down on there. Okay, but let's go around and give the top pumpkin head, the actual head, we'll give it some shape here. But obviously we're not making that perfectly round. This is midpoint now on the back, so it's not super round. Bottom. between this. Where they sit here, we're getting a nice sharp line again. As you see, things just knock the edges off. All right. So we distinctly have 3 different sizes of pumpkins, and that's all we're doing in our little rough out stage here. So good. Let's fine tune this hat a little bit and get it slouching. All right, we've left all this meat on this hat, and that is so that we can bring this hillbilly hat way in. Just bringing that right up on an angle, and we're going to go a lot narrower on the top, so maybe we should be doing that first, but now that I've started. Oh, I put that right in my coffee. All right. Let's let's get this hat. So we should do this. If that's our hat, our point of our hat should be back here. See that? Our hat sits like this now. Our hat is not up and down. So we want to leave that. So let's just go at this. Now if I want to leave some meat on the one side to give it that floppiness, I should think about that right now. As the train goes by. See that? Just leave a little notch on the side. Keep bringing that over. It's amazing how a rainy morning the sound just travels so much more. It's funny. Alright. Get the base down here. So the brim is getting wider. Taking shape now. See what's roughly what we're doing. Alright. Now we can kick it off to one side a bit. Let's get that deeper. So his hat has gone up and flopped over, so we need a real deep little here. Just to show that. Come on. See a little notch there? Same thing on the back side. I don't know who would ever wear a hat that is so tall that it flopped over. Seems kind of silly. But I guess it must have been a thing at one time. I'm not up on my hillbilly hat history. This is good. So it's kind of in on here, but then I've got it kind of out here, so you can tell it's a different part of the hat. It's just not the same hat with a wrinkle. Yeah. Oh, it's getting quiet again. There we go, a little wrinkle. Like so. I don't know why I'm finishing this hat up so early, but we're not there. Just keep working your way around and take off whatever doesn't belong there. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making a hat. Let me round that just a little bit. You never want your edges to be too crisp or too sharp, because they're prone to breaking. You gotta leave a little bit of meat on there. That gives you a little bit extra, so that if it drops, it doesn't immediately just shatter off. But these underneath cuts usually get a little chattery. If you had a nice gouge, it would be nice to use, but we're not using any gouges. We're just trying to get that head up under the hat, or the hat over the head, you choose. My brush. I think we can leave this alone for now. After we fiddle with it some more. No corners. I want it rounded. Really get that droop in it. It's going to roll your knife even. I usually leave this till much later, but Not today, I guess. Clean a little clean joint from the brim to the hat. Then we're going to leave it alone, right? Right. Okay, let's leave that alone right there. Okay, a couple more. Don't be afraid to put cuts, even if you don't can't see it. All these little cuts just add a little extra. Alright, do the same thing here. Let's put a little chip cut in there. Alright, now we're going to leave it alone. Let's looking at this guy all around, and let's talk about our little grooves here. You can see in this fella here, I wish I had a name. I'm calling them grooves, whatever. The sections of the pumpkin, I need the top pumpkin to have that section right down his nose. So that's dead center. But just like your bricklaying, for looks, you don't want the next section to be in a line. You don't want a perfect lined up pumpkin. So we're going to stagger them like that. See that? Just like you're laying bricks. We're going to keep those sections offset so that they don't line up with each other. Alright? So if we start on the top of our fella here, and let's just draw that line, even though we're not going to cut it all the way through. I'm going to draw a line right down the center, and then if we do the lower one, then the bottom one can be centered again. Alright, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Alright, and then we'll just work our way around the pumpkin here. So in the back, we'll keep them just in. That one's no good. So what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1. And we're just going to keep them offset. These do not, by no means, have to be perfect dimensionally, because they're not. They're always different, but as long as we stagger them like we're laying bricks, that the center one is always between, we're golden. Alright, so step 1, we're going to take our line, and we're just going to do a V cut with our point. Alright, and that's where we're going to leave that right now. Okay, we're not going to do any more. We are going to do more, but we're not going to do any more right now. So let's put all these little V cuts all around our pumpkin. And then we can, I'll show you what I like to do after. Alright? These aren't even straight. It doesn't even matter. It's rustic. Staggered. We're just doing V cuts. We're not even trying to get the V through. Okay? stubborn one. Okay, where are we at? Okay, I'm going to leave the face one. We can do the side of the face up here. This one here just kind of gives a frame to that face. And back up. I think we're losing focus. Okay. And then this one. Under the hat you may have to make a little stop cut to get it out. That's okay. So, all right, now all of these little cuts that we made, we're going to try and get closer here. On everywhere, including the bottom, that these touch the next pumpkin, let's just take a little chip cut out of there. See that? One of those 3/4 chip cuts. Can you see how that came out? Just pop a corner out of there. Alright, do it again here. 1, 2, 3. See that? I hope this is in focus. Put my spectacles on and see what I can see. Okay, do it again. Cut. 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 Alright. Bottom too. Bottom's no different. We're going to take a little V notch out of the bottom. Okay, let's do that all the way around this pumpkin. And this is where we're starting to add some fun little layers and details. It's really showing how it's not, they're not balls on top of each other. To stack them up like this to make a man, they're almost joined. Okay, where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. Not as big on the top because this is, remember, it's under the hat, so we're just going for get that pencil line off there, but get that plane headed up there, but we're not opening it up there at the hat, at the back at least, right? A little more on the side. Alright, now you can see that we've got all our little notches in there. So now we're going to do every little facet, and we're just going to bring it over just a hair more. And we're going to have nice clean cuts here where they touch each other. And we're just taking that corner off and just kind of flaring it round. You can see that? So we're making them all just a little bit neater and cleaner. And everywhere they touch the above, we'll make another cut. Just make sure it's nice and clean. I'm just going to take all those, kind of rounding it with that 45 V cut. Alright. Giving these real big sections. Making them real pumpkin-y. Alright. Make all of our inside cuts here. This is the last we're going to touch them, so we're going to make everything nice and neat. But just rounding those. Oh, I missed one here. I missed one. Just giving a couple extra little facets on these cuts here. Alright. Alright, does that make sense? I'll do one more here. And just work your way around your whole pumpkins, just like that. And yeah. Looks better already. Alright, so let's go around every cut. Make some extra facets, no straight lines, and we're getting there. We're getting there. Always remember, if you cut into it and it seems to pull, go back and cut the other way. Missed another one. I'm missing a lot here. Well, swooping cuts. Give them as many facets and dimensions as planes as you want to. Alright. I'm jumping all over, so I'm missing them and finding them as I come back. But it's fun. I like this carving. Nice and easy for the beginner, like myself and you, but nice results. Oh, I think I've got them. Look at that, missed another one here. Be thankful you don't have the pressure of the camera when you're carving. Don't be rushed. I said, this is the last time you're going to be touching this, so any little fuzzy in the inside corner, any little, let's get you back again, any little fuzzy you see, little nick, anything that looks out of place, this is your cleanup time, because we won't have to go back to the body. Alright, so all those little inside pieces, dig them out. Alright, I think it's time to move on to the face. As he finishes the bottom. You know, you could also, on this carving, there's no reason why you can't stop here and do a face on all three. That looks fantastic too. We're just gonna keep it with the snowman feel, but I've seen lots of the stacked pumpkins with each one having their own face, even without arms even. Just a stack of jack-o'-lanterns. This guy's a little bit proud in the chest here. Let's get him back a bit. What does he think he is? Alright, so let's move on to the face here, but if you just kind of notice here, I love how they just kind of mold together. See how I have to keep stressing, because I see it all the time, especially on snowmen, that the balls seem like they're sitting on top of each other, but see how that kind of blends together? Obviously it's not going to be like that for real, but it just makes for a nice flowing piece. Alright, so on our face here, we left that little bit of meat on for the nose, so I'm going to put a little line here, and let's get you in here. I'm just going to start, where am I? Where am I? Right here on the face. I'm just going to take a little cut out of there. I'm just going to start making that little shelf for a center line, a slight angle, a little shelf for the eyes. I hear a little pitter patter of the feet upstairs, if you hear that. The dogs are up and playing. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to just round that like so. Alright, same thing on the bottom. We're just going to give them like a little bit of a button nose. Alright. You know, there's nothing that says you can't drill a hole and stick a dowel in there either. All these things I'm doing for you, but make them your own. Do whatever you want, eh? So, just gonna try and give him a little button nose. And rounding the face as we go. Okay. Come on. Take our corners off. A little fiddly at this point, but alright, dig that right in there. Digging it right in. Give me something to cut against. Alright. There we go. I got a little finicky for a minute there. Okay. I'm going to cut that shelf back in a little bit. Make sure it's even on both sides. I keep rounding that. Keep losing that. Alright. Okay. I'm going to draw my center line here. And let's just draw the I'm sorry, I keep losing you. Gonna draw the eyes in here. See that? Okay. Just gonna dig my knife in straight. Alright, I cut up underneath. Super simple. Nothing fancy about these eyes. But they give that cartoon effect that I love. Stick my knife in, pop the corners out. Okay. And we're just going to round them. Where's my brush? Alright, so we got them rough cut. And I just want to take that sharp edge off. And we just kind of flare out a little bit on the edge. Take that sharp edge off. A little bit off the edge there. Alright. Same as the top. Now, there is our eyes, and you can leave them as one unit. I think I will leave them as one, but you could also, you can divide the eye, you can divide it, or you can just leave it whole, so you choose. But I'm keeping mine as one. Now I can round that nose off a little bit better. There's our little button nose. Bring the sides down. It does feel like I'm carving a snowman. Trying to get that neater. All right, now remember, this is still a pumpkin, so we skipped doing our little notches here, but they're still to come. But we'll get the mouth in, and then we'll give them the notches. All right. So for the mouth, I'm just going to draw a big old happy face. Everybody likes happy. All right. Stick my knife in one way. Slight curve, a slight angle, I should say. All right. Same thing the other way. Nice and deep. You can pop that little mouth out, and on the ends we'll put a little stopper both ways. All right. I'm going to cut down. Pop that out. Pop that out. Okay, I got that pencil line I can take off here. But there's our mouth. See that? Okay. Now we can do a little V cut under the chin here. We got to give him that. We got to section his head, his face. All right. Nowhere near as big as the other ones. But same up on the forehead. Okay. I like the forehead one. It kind of gives the forehead feel. And if we want to, and why don't we? We'll just give a little V under the nose. It shows that it kind of continues through. And gives that little snot trough that we affectionately have called it. Okay. For the most part, that's our pumpkin man. Now we talked about the wire arms, so let's tackle them. So we got our snowman. We got our pumpkin guy here. We're gonna drill some holes for some arms. Now I'm going to go about 1/2 inch below. I'm actually going to go right in that groove. It worked out perfectly. They're not really dead center. We're going to keep the arms back a bit. So as you can see, if that was center, they're back of center. Oh, I already marked that side. Alright, so double checking. But just drill a hole on each side. Start from both sides. And then you can meet them in the middle. That is only if you want to have the arms like this. See, I can move mine together and play with them, and I can adjust them and wiggle them back and forth, see? But you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can stick sticks in there. You can stick whatever you can think of in there to make some arms, but I like the wire idea. The first time I did this was actually like three or 4 years ago even. I did a snowman and I used barbed wire. But I'm going to show you how I twisted this wire, and you don't have to go searching for barbed wire. Alright. Now, before I drill this guy, I'm going to take my little ice pick, take an awl or a starter. I'm going to poke a little hole just to make sure I get that bit in there centered. Or you could do a small pilot hole first, just so you don't screw up your carving too quick. And then I'm just going to go and look from one side. I'm going to go to the other side. Okay. And there we go. I lost my bit, but you can see I found the hole. Let's make this guy spin. We'll break it before we're done. Flying pumpkin man. Alright. So we got our hole on both sides. You may want to take your knife if you got some fuzzies. Either push them in or cut them out, but holes are drilled. We've got this utility wire. This is just hardware store general utility wire. I used to hang and suspend the ceilings with it, but I cut some pieces. I think I started at about 7 inches, and you're going to want a little bit of extra wire because of how we're going to twist it, and we're going to want to clean the edges off. But anyway, all I was doing was taking a strand of 3. And I'm just going to carefully try and chuck it up in my my little drill here. See that? Alright. Then I'm going to go over to my vise and I'm going to stick it in the vise. Now hopefully this is going to show. I stuck one end in the vise and I'm just going to slowly turn it. And there you go. Twisting it up. That's about all you want to do. See that that twist I've got? There's no reason you can't put one end in the vise and just twist it with the pliers either, but I find that drill gives a real nice, tight, uniform curl. Okay. Now I'm going to cut one end. I'm going to cut one end off right away, because I got to be able to stick it through the hole. You see? Okay, cut one end. And keep one end. I can clean these up even. But basically, I'm gonna leave the fingers on one end and one end to stick through the hole. So I guess I need to backtrack a little bit here because I knew the size of the drill bit. So know your drill bit before you tackle it and drill a hole. Alright, so I'm just going to put that in there. I'm going to bend that roughly for now. We'll open up some fingers here on this side. There we go. All right. This guy got like a thumb, a couple of fingers. Just bend them however you want them. So if I want to get him over a bit, bend those arms a bit. Like I said, sticks work well too. But this guy looks like he's handicapped. Come on, buddy. Put your arm around. Make sure they're even. Anyway, you can do whatever you want with this. Put one up here. Oh my! Alright? But play with the hands, put them where you want them. Or, like I said, have sticks sticking straight out. But let's put some eyes. Give them some eyeballs. It's funny how the one little dot just brings it to life. Gives them a soul. Alright. Alrighty guys, there is our pumpkin man carved. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different for this video. I'm going to leave this as is, and I'm going to make a separate video. I just spent 3.5 hours or so, maybe a little more even, filming the painting part of the video and editing it and trying to make a video out of it, and I failed. I didn't get the big LED lights on when I came back to paint, and that whole video has that orange hue that I had a problem with about 3 or 4 videos back, and I can't put it out. So I'm going to just talk you through it. I want to refer you to the Paint Along With Me video. I'm going to put the link in the description. And it's the same technique that I did in the Paint Along With Me video, just with different colors, alright? So this is the finished product. If I could go back and repaint it, I would, but I can't, so I won't. So I'll just tell you about it. I used Canyon orange paint, watered down, heavy in the cracks to give it some shadowing, and burnt umber in the hat, and yeah, just the eyes. But yeah, if you're sad that the painting part's not there, I'm just as sad, because what a waste of my time. But it's almost 10 o'clock at night, and I've been carving and making the video since about 7 this morning. So it is what it is, and we're gonna call it there. But anyway, still turned out pretty good, and I'm happy with the carving. So make your own, make it your own, have fun with it, enjoy the hobby, and I will catch you on the next one. See you guys.